This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn back here in Birmingham. Eddie, successful night with the exception of obviously the co-main.
Yeah, I mean, even the co-main, it was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Obviously our boy lost, which is never good, but as long as it's a great fight. But no, it was a great night. I mean, the before the bell action was really lively. You had so many different pockets, like Coventry, Leicester, Birmingham, obviously, Wolverhampton, Newcastle. And, you know, before the bell, I thought great performances from Muhammad Ali. Aaron Bowen, I thought was fantastic. Who have I missed? Ibrahim Suleiman, great. And you go on to the main card. Jordan Flynn against Cain Baker gave us another great fight. I thought Jordan Flynn won by 3 or 4 rounds, in all honesty. I love Cain Baker, but I'm going to be honest, you know, and I thought he got very lucky. After that, Khalid Majid made tough work in a solid 8 rounds. Solomon Dacres, decent heavyweight scrap against a tough southpaw. And then we just saw one of the fights of the year, Conor Walker against Pattinson. Obviously, Lewis Ritson was here. We were going to announce that fight tonight in Newcastle. It's like the curse. Do you know what I mean? You just shouldn't do it. And it was unbelievable. Conor Walker was amazing. And then you just saw Galal Yafai just show that he's like levels above British and European. And he needs to move forward now into those big fights.
Heading into this week, Eddie, you said to me that the local guys had to perform, had to deliver to try and get a show back. Galal Yafai certainly did that tonight.
Yeah, and he's so good. Like, and no disrespect to Tommy Frank, who's a good, solid British champion. It's just, you know, we didn't think it was going to be a mismatch like that, but it was a mismatch. And that just shows you, I think Galal is up there now with Sonny, Bam, Julio Cesar Martinez. You do have to do rounds and you do have to be in the trenches a little bit, but he just showed that he's an elite fighter.
Is a Cuadras fight realistic next up?
It's a great fight. Cuadras, Rung Visai, those kind of fights. I mean, he's asked to go on the Sonny Edwards undercard, which I think would be a perfect slot for him. And we're looking to have a decent British contingent on that card. But again, I need him to be in 2 tough tests before I put him in with those guys. But he's got all the ability to do it.
Pattinson Walker, will there be a rematch you're looking to?
Yeah, we got the options on Walker. I mean, you know, he didn't sound like it was a route he was looking to take, but ultimately, Cyrus came to Birmingham to give him a chance. I'd love to run it back in Newcastle. We'll look for a new main event. You know, maybe that's McCormack against Ritson. Maybe that's McCormack against Troy Williamson or someone like that. But we want to still build a big show in Newcastle in November. But I would love to run that back.
Final one tonight. Sol Dacres went around. Maybe expected a little bit more from him to go for the gear.
Difficult. I mean, he's a good fighter, Chris Thompson. Tough, a good chin, southpaw, awkward. I think Sol could have done a little bit better, but it was, you know, on reflection, a good 10 rounds banked.
Eddie, obviously a photo floating about that you met up with Conor Benn today. Just wanted to kind of get your understanding as to what that meeting was about on the back of the news of the appeal from UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Control.
I mean, it looks like we're going to fight in September, so we just...
Despite that appeal from...
yeah, I mean, he's not suspended, he's been cleared, subject to the appeal, so at the moment he's cleared to fight. Obviously he's already licensed. That fight could take place in the UK, subject to obviously conversations with the board. They may choose not to, but he wants to get out really ASAP. The appeal's going to take, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months, so we're not interested in waiting around. He's been cleared. Obviously they've chose to appeal. He won that case, so we'll see, but that was the conversation today.
So I mean, on that note then, do you think it's more likely if that appeal is going to go on and he does last 2 or 3 months, we will see him return outside of the United Kingdom? Maybe.
I mean, obviously he's not suspended at the moment, so he could ask for permission to box in the UK. I mean, with everything going on, who knows? Legally, I don't know the position on that. It's an awkward one, but we would like to fight in the UK, but happy to fight in America as well.
Eddie, I have to ask, obviously when those reports come out, he said that it was claimed that the National Anti-Doping Panel's decision was focused heavily on UKAD's inability to rule on VADA tests, and it came down to jurisdiction. Was that the case? When the reports came out of the Daily Mail's report a couple of days ago?
Daily Mail's report? Yeah. I don't know how many times I've got to say the case wasn't one on jurisdiction. I'm not really allowed to comment, but I'll say it again. I mean, it's just, you know, they don't listen, but, you know.
Because it's being appealed by UKAD and British Boxing Board of Control, does that not suggest that as well that Conor hasn't been cleared if they're still appealing it?
You lot are mad. I mean, not necessarily you, but I read some stuff from the journalists. If you don't get banned and you have your suspension lifted, do you not understand you have been cleared to fight? Now, the fact that they've appealed means that he has to go through the process again. I understand that. But I know people don't like to acknowledge that he's been cleared to fight. But let me tell you this, he has a licence to fight. With a commission he has a licence with, the fact that he was suspended means that they were not prepared to allow him to fight under that commission. Now that his suspension has been lifted, it has been confirmed by them that he is clear to fight. So people, the media, can unfortunately try to deny that fact, but that is the reality. We know he has to go through the appeal, but you can't say he's not been cleared to fight when the commission that we deal with in America is happy for him to fight. They've cleared him to fight because that suspension has been lifted. And he's actually cleared to fight in the UK as well. Now there's appeal, we have to go back through that process.
He's not a fighter that you kind of worked with, but Zolani Tete received a 4-year ban, which was backdated obviously a year going back to his victory over Jason Cunningham. What was your thoughts when you heard that news?
Don't know, I doubt he even turned up to the hearing, to be honest with you. I mean, he had a substance in his system. I believe it was quite a serious substance. I doubt he even turned up to the hearing. They probably just gave him an automatic 4-year ban.
What was your meeting with Billy Joe Saunders about?
He wants to fight again. Yeah, he wants to fight again. He wants to be in a big fight. He wants to come back in December. He wants Belanga. He wants Munguia. He wants Ryder. He wants Golovkin. He wants Charlo. He wants everybody. But I think realistically, come back in December in a 10-round fight and then look to have a big fight in spring, summer next year.
Just final one, Eddie. Terence Crawford said he'd want to face Canelo if Canelo obviously overcomes Jamal Charlo. Your thoughts on a potential fight there?
Sounds good, doesn't it? But no, impossible. I mean, Canelo would never weigh a pound under 168. No way. He would never ever do it. And Crawford would never go to 168. So I think it's a little bit of a fantasy matchup, but two incredible fighters.
Eddie, your final words on your visit to the God's country?
Enjoyed it. A lot of great young talent. Galal Yafai is unbelievable. Fight of the year for me, Cyrus Pattinson against Conor Walker. And great night. A couple of weeks off now, and then we go Mexico on the 15th of September, 23rd, great triple header in Orlando. September 30, we've got a World Championship fight in either London or Manchester, which we'll announce probably Tuesday. October the 7th, the week after, Wood Warrington, then we're back in Mexico. Then we've got Linares against Catterall, and then we've got probably Haney against Prograis, then we've got Monaco, then we've got Newcastle, and so on. I don't think we've got a week off following September 15th, so little charge up and away we go.
We do indeed. Thank you, Eddie.
Cheers, mate.